Thank you.
Yesterday you told me all the places. Where's that place?
Okay, let's learn a little bit. Well, can't one day you bring in, then the next day not.
Yeah, no, the people at Eretz Yisrael were asking which Mishnah we're up to. I said, I don't even remember. I feel really bad. I think I'm going to appoint Joel to take over.
Okay, we are holding in the midst of the last page of the seventh Shvius. And we explained that in order to collect with a prusbul, the mechanics are that you have to have that the borrower has to have a piece of property. So it's considered like it's meshubid to that piece of property, even if it's a very small piece of property. It's the stalk of a cabbage. That's large enough to be considered that he owns karkois and he can collect. Okay. What happens if Hoisaloi Soda Mushkenes Be'ir Kois Malo Prusbul? That let's say you have a field that is already have a lien on it. Meaning this guy was he needed to borrow money and he had a piece of property. But this piece of property already had a lien on it from an apoitiki, let's say. From a, what? No, Olim, Mishkenis is a mashkin. Yeah, so it's stronger, it's like an apoitiki.
Not just Mishun.
Yeah. So let's see how he explains it. Let's say that piece of property that the loiva owns was used as a lien for another piece of property. And then the halacha is that you can use this as a piece of property for a new loan as well. Even if it has a strong, like a poitiki type of lien that they get the rights to it, meaning kigoin imilvu elevzuz, let's say he borrowed 1,000 zuz originally. V'mashkin loy es hasoda le'eser shonim, and he gave away this piece of property to the first creditor for 10 years' time. That he's going to be able to collect 100 zuz. And after 10 years, the entire loan will be paid up. It's still considered like as karka. Even if it's that technically you can't touch this piece of property, as long as he has a potential that this piece of property will get out of the hands, that's enough to say that you can say that this is the piece of property. Now he says over here, the Loshin, what type of a context are we talking over here that we say that there's a mashkin in the city? What's the secret formula here that the Mishnah mentions be'ir? So he explains Hamila be'ir shel Mishnah hi lav dafka. That's not really necessary here. But it means and technically it doesn't have to be in that city. Even if it's in another city, it's good enough to be able to collect from. So, because you would have said maybe Mishkanis Be'ir means that if it's close by, then we can use it. No, even if it's in a different city. Okay.
The Rambam doesn't take it out.
Huh?
The Rambam, Chazal doesn't mention the word
Be'ir, right? Because it's lav dafka. Yeah, that's what he says over Yitaka. That's from the Melech Shloime and the Mishnah Shaina. According to the Rambam, in Perik Tes, Halach Yutes of Halach Hilchos Shvius. Huh? Okay. But he doesn't bring down from the Melech Shloime. Okay. Now, right now we're saying that you can technically, why do we say this halacha? We say this halacha because technically we say that you have that piece of property, but there's a lien on it or whatever. Okay, nishkafelich. But the Rav over here goes a step further than this. And the Harav Moisif, Shuhu Adin, the same halacha will apply im acherim mashkinei sakak shalehem uloivel avur choiv shehem chayom. Let's say this guy doesn't have any properties but he has a lien. He lent somebody else money. Reuven lent Shimon money, and now Reuven goes and asks for a loan from Levi. So the halacha is that you can use that piece of property as well. That the borrower is a creditor of somebody else who has a piece of property is as if he owns that piece of property for a prusbul. Ulam HaMishnah Rishayim Makshi Shemikuk Gezayin Sorokshi Shehem Yam Yimashkin Oilo Yisakaka Eladai Bekach Sheish Lehem Karka. Doesn't have to even be a mashkin. So Shnina B'Gemara, the Gemara says, Imein Leiloi Bekarka, Ulazeh Shalov Meni Yesh Karka, Kaisma Pruzmo, Medin Shibud Rab Nasan, because of the Shibud Rab Nasan. Hainu Shamil V'Yochel Ligvois, Chayvim Mahaloi V'Asheni. So even without a Shibud, so that he says it's a Shibud, according to the according to the Mishnah Rishona, you don't have to have it. Doesn't mean that you have to put the lien on directly, as long as the borrower of the
whose field is this?
Reuven lent Shimon money, so the field belongs to Shimon. Now Reuven borrows from Levi, so it belongs to Shimon. So Mishnah, so it says if you're mashkin it, it's good enough. Even without that. Even let's say there was no such thing as a mashkin over here. And when Reuven lent money to Shimon, Shimon didn't say it's a mashkin. It just so happens that it's automatically a mashkin because he owes him the money. Huh? Al Shibud, yeah. So he says because of Shibud the Rab Nosson, the famous halach of Shibud the Rab Nosson. Yeah, and everybody know the halach of Shibud the Rab Nosson, that if Reuven lends money to Shimon, and then Shimon lends money to Levi, so then Reuven can go to Levi because of Shibud the Rab Nosson to say that Shimon owes me money and you owe Shimon money, therefore I have a right to collect it because I'm the creditor of Shimon. You have such things in American law? I don't know.
But is it possible the opposite also? Let's say Levi, Reuven lent Shimon money.
Right.
And Reuven has a mashkin on this field. And now Reuven borrows money from somebody else. Reuven doesn't have any property.
That's what we're talking about.
Reuven doesn't have any property.
It doesn't have any property. That's exactly the case. That's exactly the case we're talking about. What do you have to come up? That's what we're saying.
Of the Shiva. But it's going both ways. What about the other way around?
I'll stay with the question.
If Reuven lent Shimon money, and Shimon has a field that's Meshubit, or that's Mushkin, and now Shimon is now you want to go ahead and write a prusbon for Shimon. Shimon owes somebody else money, lent money from somebody else, and his field that he owns is in a mashkin. The property he owns is mashkin now.
Same halacha will apply.
It's two different ways.
I understand the two different ways.
The character that's on here is it the person that's mashkin.
It doesn't make it
difference. Or the malva?
It's always the loivis karka. It's the loivis karka.
It's the loivis karka. Once I put yes, the loiv has to have a piece of karka.
Right.
Now the loiv has karka because he has a piece of karka that's a mashkin on it, or he has karka because a different piece of karka is mushkin to him.
Either way.
Either way.
Either way. However, Rebbe Chutzpis Oimer, the Tana Rebbe Chutzpis adds one more caveat. That koisfim le'ish al nichse ishto. Let's say the husband doesn't have one piece of property, doesn't have a red cent to his name, and he married a wealthy lady, and this wealthy lady has a lot of properties, Can you use it on that smach as well? Because normally we know Masechta Ksubis, you can eat the peiris. The husband doesn't own the field; he only owns the peiris of the field. The actual piece of property still belongs to the wife. So can you write a prusbul on that? So the chutzpah says you can write even on the nichse ishtoi a prusbul. Which is called nichse mulug, meaning the chosam hanisharim bebalusa el shabal oichlas perisayim. These pieces of property, the halacha is that technically they still belong to the wife for all intents and purposes. The only thing is that the produce that they produce goes to the husband. This is one of the Tanais of Ksuba. We can say that that's also considered like he owns properties. Why? It's as if he owns that piece of property because at the end of the day, he gets the profits from these pieces of properties. Let's say when they got married, the wife didn't want, she knew that her husband's a big shlamazel, and he didn't want him to take care of the business. She said, listen, as far as I'm concerned, this belongs to me in its entirety. Made a condition, which you can do. She made a condition, a prenuptial agreement that I own this piece of property to the full extent, both, and to keep the payers as well. You can still write a prusbul. Why so? He has no connection to it technically. He's just married to the lady who owns it. The prusbul was done for the benefit of the poor. That nobody should stop from lending them money. And even if he doesn't have any type of shakas to it. Now, the Yerushalmi adds a wrinkle to this. The Yerushalmi Mavua, that let's say the lady needs to borrow money. Shehu adin shalofsa ve'en lekaka. Let's say she borrows and she doesn't have a piece of property. Can a prusbul be written on this loan or not? So the halacha is kaisum lamalva prusbul asmach karka shel bala, where he doesn't really explain how it works. But I guess the Chachamim felt that when push comes to shove, you're going to take care of your husband and wife, and therefore this is enough to be considered enough that we say that there is a piece of property involved here.
She has the thing at book.
We're talking about that the piece of property, she has no properties and the husband owns properties. So that's the case of Nichse Ishta. One final halacha of this Mishnah is V'la yisoymim al nichse apotropim. That let's say can you write a prusbul for yisoymim because of the estates of those that are taking care, the guardians. The guardian for the minors, the Yisoyim. Meaning, let's say the guardian needed money on account of the estate of the Yisoyim. They didn't have money in the house. They didn't have any properties. Is kaisvim prusbul al smach hakarka shel apotropos. But the apotropos has it. But since he's the one that is managing the estate of these, he was given the guardian item for these orphans. We say that his piece of property is good enough. This is a special leniency that the Chachamim place for that if the guardian owns pieces of property, that's good enough. Okay. Now, what happens? We've been talking about a situation where who's the borrower? The borrower is the orphans. They borrowed the money. How do they borrow it? Through the guardian. But let's say it's the other way around. They have a large estate, a lot of money, and they lent money. But the creditor, who's the borrower, doesn't have money. Meaning the guardian felt that he could give out some of their money for, as a gemilas chesed to do it. Because Bezdin technically are considered the memunim on the Yisayimim. How would you say the memunim? They are like the appointed on the Yisayimim. Meaning they know they have to take care of business for the Yisayimim of Bezdin.
Executors?
Not executors, no. Yeah, you use that terminology maybe. So technically, any loan is like the Bezdin, and we had already previously that the halacha is that Bezdin has a right to collect. It's only a private loan that you can't collect. But since this loan is considered part and parcel of Bezdin, it's enough to collect. Now, over here, the last two halachas are brought down in the name of Rav Chutzpitz. He says that there's a machlokes whether this is a shitas yochid or he came to say it in the Chacham min bitu it. And the Rambam beperushay koisev she'en choylik al Rav Chutzpitz, that even though it's brought down b'shem, it's not a shitas yochid, it's not a part of it, but it goes. But since he's the one that said it, it says it in his name. However, it's not so simple about that.
Anywhere else in Shas?
What?
Anywhere else in Shas?
Yeah. Reb Chutzpitz he talking about? Oh, I thought you meant this halacha. Yeah, Reb Chutzpitz on the Turgum. He brought down in Gemara. It's not in Mishnayos. We'll stop over here. We'll continue Metzshem, the next new Mishnah tomorrow. Another in Kasher Amos Rogelzak is Yisrael. Lafika Chibel and Peri Mitzvahs. Shenema Adon Yechofetz and Yagdil Toiro Biyadiyah.